Grand Rising, welcome to What's Going On in Peekskill. We have Jeffrey Deskovic this morning, and we're going to talk about some things.
Good morning, Liesa. Nice to be here. Nice to join the audience.
Okay, listen. You're an attorney now.
I am.
You're doing big things. Okay, you're traveling the country, west to east coast, all over the place. What are you doing? What are you doing now towards post-conviction?
Sure. So I'm an attorney. I'm with the Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation for Justice, an organization I started which is named after me, whose mission is to free people in the same position I was once in, which is to say that, wrongfully imprisoned, and then also working to prevent what happened to me from happening to others through policy changes. So overall, we have been able to free 14 wrongfully convicted people since opening our doors back in 2011, and we've also helped to pass 6 laws. So in terms of encouraging people to get to, where I'm at or have some degree of success, so first of all, I'm definitely encouraging other exonerees to get education. I'm encouraging some to become attorneys to help free others, just as they were helped, just as I was helped. But I'm also encouraging exonerees just to decide, once they've been released, what is it that you'd like to do with the rest of your life? And what's the educational path that you need? What are the credentials you need to be able to do that? In terms of current legislation, there are a number of bills that myself and colleagues in the coalition group It Could Happen to You, which the foundation is part of. There's a number of bills that we are pushing. One of them is the Youth Interrogation Act, which is S1099, also known as A8923. And so what that bill would do, if passed, is that it would give 16, 17-year-olds and kids younger than that a non-waivable right to counsel, meaning you would have to speak to an attorney to explain your rights to you before you could decide if you wanted to waive them and speak to the police without a lawyer, keeping in mind that most kids that age don't understand their rights. I certainly didn't understand my rights when I waived them and ultimately was coerced into a false confession that caused me to ultimately be wrongfully convicted and spend 16 years in prison. So that's one piece of legislation. Another one is called, the number is S5786, A5284, and that is a bill that would require the police to record all interrogations. So under present law, the police are mandated to record custodial interrogations, but unfortunately there's exceptions for homicides, sex offenses, and drug cases. And this bill would get rid of the exceptions. They would have to record all custodial and non-custodial interrogation. And lastly, there is a police deception bill known as S2303, also known as A1156. And what that would do is that it would ban law enforcement from lying to suspects. Most people don't realize the police are allowed to lie to you when they question you, and that's inherently coercive, and that has led some innocent people to falsely confess. So I'm working to prevent some people from getting to where I was. It's much better to have never been wrongfully convicted, to have not had your life disrupted, as opposed to being wrongfully convicted and then exonerated.
Okay. These bills, how would people support these bills? Is there a phone number that they should call where they could get these bills? Say that they support these bills, and maybe at the end of the show we'll try to get those numbers out there if possible.
So you can go to the New York State Senate website or the New York State Assembly, and you can put your zip code in, and it'll let you know who represents the district that you live in, both on the Senate and the Assembly side, and you could voice your support. You could email your elected officials, hey, I support these bills. I'd like you to pass them.
Okay. What I'm finding out now in Peekskill, our quality of life issues are not really being addressed like they should. But I'm noticing that a lot of our young adults, and I'm talking between the age of 11 and 15, are being picked up and questioned by the police. Now, I had a young man who was picked up by the police and was told, I'm going to put the dogs on you. 14-year-old kid. I questioned the officer myself. I won't mention his name here at the time. And he said, I certainly did. I called the chief. I see he's not doing anything about it. What would you tell a parent to tell their child should they be picked up without the parent present and questioned? that would be the interrogation thing you're talking about. Is that the same thing where they cannot question these children without an attorney or a parent present? Because this was not the case with this young man. He was picked up.
Yes, these bills would definitely have covered that. I mean, it's a bill. It hasn't been passed. It's not law yet, but it would play into that scenario that you gave. You know, I'm glad you asked about this because, you know, most parents, I don't think most parents know what to do if the police want to question them, and therefore they're really not able to teach their children what to do in the event that the police want to speak to them. So you give your name, your address, and then you say, I want a lawyer. You know, most people think that, well, if I haven't done anything and I don't know anything about a crime, that it's safe to waive my rights and speak to the police. You know, what could possibly happen? But actually quite a bit. I mean, you know, I was coerced into a false confession, which when I was 16, and ultimately it cost me 16 years in prison before my innocence was established by DNA testing. So a lot can happen if you waive your rights. Very important not to waive your rights, to insist that you want an attorney. And on a similar note, you know, when the police stop you, if they want to search your car, you know, they ask for permission to search your car. Your answer is, you know, no, I do not consent to search the car, because unfortunately there have been a few incidents across the country where when police search vehicles, all of a sudden they find drugs or they find guns that they plant there. There's unfortunately been some officers that have done that. Now, I'm not saying across the board, I'm not even saying most of them, but I am saying that it is a possibility. Why open yourself to that?
Well, I don't think that so far we've had that incident in Peekskill of lately.
Right.
Of late. But my question is, they get these children in and they befriend them. Mm-hmm. Oh,
right.
We picked you up for this, but you can tell us if such and such did that. There's no parent present. The kid's in the interrogation room, 14 years old, by himself, waiting for a parent to come. Do you think that the police immediately, when they pick up these children, should immediately contact a guardian or a parent and say, look, we have your child, come here before we question them? Is that allowed, or can they just, like you said, for murder or something like that, I guess they can't?
Well, the police are under current law. They're allowed to just question kids without court and lie and question children outside of the presence of the adults. But that's the whole point of why, you know, the Youth Interrogation Act should be enacted, and that's also a reason why I covered, you know, what should a parent teach their child on what to do. And lastly, really quickly, I want to mention that there have been instances, and again, I'm talking statewide, I'm talking national, not specific to Peekskill,
yes,
though it could happen here too, which is that sometimes police co-opt a parent and turn the parent into an agent of coercion. Well, come on, Dario. Tell them what happened, and we can get out of here. They know that you did it, and so that you can actually some parents have actually coerced their own kids, and you know, by the time Dario actually gets out of there, it might be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years later, and you know, this has led sometimes to false confessions.
Well, I agree, but Dario has a rough mother, so that would definitely not happen with Dario. The police would lock themselves up. Okay.